I want to share with you 8 workflow tips that I use in Pro Tools. I'll start with a few more common ones and I'll keep my favorite ones for the end. So the first trick I'm going to show you is to move quickly around a session. Most users are familiar with markers and memory location, and they're a great way to find a spot in a session. But did you know you can jump to a marker by typing on your numeric keypad, period, then the number of the marker, then again, period. The trick that I use here and that enables me to move quickly on a session is to write the actual number of the marker in front of the name of the memory location. So here to give you an example, I'm gonna make a marker for the bridge section. So you can see the number of the marker is 13. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna write the number 13, I'm gonna put a period, and then I'm gonna write what the location actually is, and I'm gonna write bridge. So now what that does is if I type period, 13, and period, it will jump to that spot without having to do anything else. And so now let's say I want to jump to the solo section. All I have to do is press period 6 period and it's going to jump to the solo section. It makes a lot of sense to me. You don't have to keep the numbers in order. As long as you write the numbers in front, it makes things really fast and really easy for me to jump to the section I want to go to. Let's look at this next workflow trick. This trick is actually kind of just a keyboard shortcut that I use a lot to make track active and inactive. Most engineers or producers that I see, to make a track active or inactive, they will right click on the track, press make inactive, or then hide and make inactive, or make active. With the most recent versions of Pro Tools, you can easily make keyboard shortcuts for about anything you can think of. All you have to do is get into the shortcut window for that. I like to make tracks inactive more often than muting them. Anytime I want to completely take out and mute a track in a session, I always make it inactive to make sure it doesn't get unmuted. Additionally, I write DNU in the comment section just as an extra safety to tell me next time I open it, or if I'm gonna give the session to someone else, just let them know this is in the session, but DNU do not use, it's not being used. So for this shortcut, I use Shift, Command, Control, and A, which is very quick. It's like right under your left fingers. You can just press it on and off, and it's gonna make your track inactive, and then if you do it again, it's going to make your track back active. So this is a great shortcut that I think speeds things up a lot rather than having to right click or find another way of like making a track inactive. The third workflow trick I want to show you is something that might be more useful for mixing, but I use it for production as well. So for this trick, I have a trim plugin in front of my plugin chain on my auxes. So most people, if not everybody, when you do production or mixing, you mix things down to buses or auxes. So for me, adding a trim in front of the plugin chain sort of systematically does two things. So it gives me a way of quickly adjusting the gain of what's coming in my aux. So I have access to a trim right there if I just want to lower the level into my aux, which I think most people, you'll find once you start mixing things, you get to your aux, you get to a point where your gain staging might get screwed up and then everything gets just slammed into your mixing aux. The second thing that trim plugin allows me to do is check the polarity between my instruments, between my aux tracks. Super easy to check if things are out of phase or the polarity is out of whack. A lot of time maybe I'm mixing drums and I like the drum sound, and then maybe I start getting a bass sound, I like the bass sounds. All of those are getting sent to like separate buses, and I put them together and I notice maybe the low end completely disappeared. So having that trim plugin in front of my plugins in the auxes, on the auxes, I can just quickly go there, flip the polarity, and we make sure we don't have any weird frequency subtractions going on. My next workflow tip is I always work in grid mode. With very few exceptions, I'm always working in grid mode. I like working in grid mode to make sure things are exactly where they need to be. I can make the grid smaller if I need more details. The real trick is using the command key as a clutch to get out of grid mode and switch to slip. So if you're in grid mode and you press the command key, now it's acting like you're in sleep mode. You can now select anything outside of the grid. You're not snapping on the grid anymore, and it makes things a bit easier to navigate. This next trick is more of a function in Pro Tools, but I notice many users don't know about it. What it is the FMP button on your Sense. What it does, it follows the main panner. What that does, it makes the pan of your send follow the panning of your channel. It's a great way of working without having to constantly go and change one or the other. Sometimes you might pan an instrument on the side, and then the panner by default on your send is going to be centered. So you're offsetting the thing that you want to pan. So it might be a good idea to keep the main panner and the send panner following things so things kind of stay together. So following that function, the next one is a function in Pro Tools. It's a way of zeroing a setting or a fader. So the way to do that is by pressing the Option key and clicking on that fader or that pan or the setting on your keyboard. For example, I want to set my fader at 0. I Option click on it and it jumps straight to 0. Another example, if I want a pan to snap to dead center, instead of having to like drag it and like try to find the center, you can just Option click on the pan. It's going to snap to the 0 position. This next one is definitely interesting. It's a way of duplicating a selection, but duplicating it in front of the selection. So obviously you can select something and you press Command D and it's going to duplicate the selection after. But you might be in a situation when you want to copy and paste something, the selection, right in front of what you've selected. So the easy way of doing that is to select what you want to copy. You press Control Option Command and you click on that selection, and then it will automatically copy that selection in front. This is a really cool workflow trick. The last trick, and I think my favorite one, is a really quick way of automating anything, any parameters on any plugin. The way to do that is to hold Control Option Command and click on the parameter you want to automate. When you do that, you have this little drop down or pop-up that comes, and all you do is press Enable Automation, and now this parameter is automation enabled. Next thing I do is I press again on the parameter, holding down Control and Command, and what that does is in the edit window, it will switch that parameter, and now I can easily just draw the automation. One really cool and quick example would be automating a high pass filter. You would do this combination of click and key command, and then you can just draw that automation in, and then you're all set. So it's a lot faster than any other way of doing it that I've seen. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope